Get all the high. What's up, man? Welcome to the Sideline Podcast. We'll give it a few seconds here to jump in. Did you watch all of that Texas Georgia game or just parts of it?
No, I watched the whole thing.
Man, I didn't get to watch the whole. I watched like a chunk of the first half, and then I watched most of the second half. And yeah, what a finish, man! What a finish!
Yeah,
even when the scoring's not high, they didn't put up the high numbers of points like the Arizona State game, but like the quality of football, like turnovers aren't great, but it's also like it's high quality defense forcing those turnovers. So I'm like, this is awesome. But yeah, what was it, 6-3 at halftime? People were probably freaking out. Like, man,
it reminds me of the like the old rivalry, Alabama, or I mean, it's still a rivalry, but like back when Alabama and LSU were like top dogs and they would play in like the end, at the end of the game, it would be 6-3 or 3-3 and going to overtime or something. So it was sloppy, but that there's a lot of studs out there flying around. So.
Yeah. All right. We'll get it going here. Our official start to our live stream, our podcast. Welcome everyone to the Sideline Podcast. This is episode number 14. We're kind of sad. College season is coming to a close, at least the regular season. Our fantasy football has wrapped up. But yeah, my name is Kevin Showalter. My co-host is Jared Booker. We're two best friends who love college football and hope to help people create unbeatable fantasy football teams. Thanks for joining us this evening. If you enjoy this content, follow us on X at SidelineFFPod. You can also check us out on YouTube at SidelineFFPod as well. Man, this is conference championship weekend. We're going to break down some of the games so far. We are currently watching. I was not able to find the Penn State-Oregon game, so I'm watching Clemson-SMU, but you are watching Oregon-Penn State, right?
That is correct. We are it's 7-0 Oregon, and Penn State is now they just hit fourth down, and I think they're within field goal range, so it should be 7-3 here with 7 minutes to go in the first quarter. What about you?
Yeah, I've got 7-0 Clemson, so it should be interesting. They're about to score, and they did score. So 14, about to be 14-0. That one was touchdown. Give me a second.
So does SMU just look – oh, he's the tight end. Does SMU just look like not great at all?
Yeah, I mean, this is like a home game. I mean, it's early. There's only 10 minutes. There's only 5 minutes into this game, and they're down 14-0. That's
yikes.
Not what you want to see if you're the SMU coach to spot Dabo 14 points in pretty much a home game. First time in the championship game for SMU in a hot minute. So this one could get ugly if I had to guess. All right, so we are. Without further ado, we like to start each week with some trivia. So I believe you have some trivia questions for us. So yeah, fire away.
I do indeed. All right. So this week we have 2 trivia questions, as we do most weeks. If you are watching or listening and you know the answer, feel free to shoot the answer in the live chat and we will acknowledge you. But that's perfectly fine if you don't. So, trivia question number 1 for Kevin. Which quarterback in NCAA D1 threw for the most yards in the 2024 regular season? Was it A, Shedeur Sanders for Colorado, B, Kyle McCord for Syracuse, C, Jackson Dart for Ole Miss, or D, Cam Ward for Miami?
Now, full disclosure, we've been getting after it in the comment sections, and we're about to get into some Heisman talk, Colorado. So I've been looking up Colorado stats to fuel my argument, and so I looked up Shedeur Sanders' passing stats earlier to see, because honestly, I think, again, this is a little bit of a teaser, but I'm like, why is he not in the Heisman conversation for the year that he's had? He is top 3 to 5 in most categories. However, I looked up his yardage, and then I saw Kyle McCord was the top passer in college football this year, rolling on Ohio State's grave. So, yeah, B. Kyle McCord.
That is correct. The answer is B. Kyle McCord with 4,326 passing yards. So, nice work. All right. On to number 2. Enjoy this one. There's no way you're going to get
Atticus Bertrams. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got no chance. Name.
I just really genuinely wanted to go so deep in the woods that that you would not be able to come out. So across all conferences, who has punted for the most combined yards this year? Is it A, Atticus Bertrams with Wisconsin, who should be winning awards based on his name alone? Is it B, Keelan Crimmins, Purdue, C, Alex Mastromano, FSU, or D, Josh Smith for Kent State?
Man. See, I'm leaning D, Josh Smith, because it's the only normal name. So I'm like, maybe you just chat GTP'd the first 3 names as the most out of control names you could come up with. But the Florida State one is interesting because they've been so bad that surely that means they've been punting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But Atticus Bertrams, what a name. That is it's a hard one. I'm gonna go with Florida State. Dance on their grave one more time, and I just said that twice, but it's all right. Alex Mastromano, C, Florida State is my final answer.
So he is in the top 10. He is not the top. Oh. So you were actually correct with your gut feeling. It is Josh Smith for Kent State. He's punted for 3,469 yards. My trick worked as I was coming up with these names. I was like, I saw FSU and I was like, oh man, they've had a really rough year. I'm going to throw that name in there and he's probably going to bite on it. So, and you did.
And I did.
And you did. So, yep. All right. That was trivia time with the TSP podcast.
All right. And then do you want to lead us into not even a new segment, just kind of a one-off here, I think we have. If you want to take it away here on what this was your idea. So I'm going to let you run with
Absolutely. Yeah. So this segment is called All I Want for Christmas. And it's obviously themed for the time of year that we are currently in. And I know that, fantasy football has concluded. Neither of us made it to the championship, but I think for most people, championships have concluded, and that's been decided. For college. Sorry. Yes. Thank you. NFL is still going on, and you're still very much in the race. But for college, that has been concluded. And so I already know what you would want for Christmas in regards to the NFL, because you would like to win our league. But I would like to know, what would you like for Christmas in regards to these conference championships, which we're almost all the way. I mean, there's only 2 games coming, and then we've got the 12-team playoff. All I want for Christmas, Kevin, what are you thinking?
That's tough because you narrowed it down. So now my Christmas gift is decided on December 7th. I'm going to go with Penn State beating Oregon tonight. I have limited options left in this day, but I guess that's all I want for Christmas in conference championship weekend is my Penn State boys to. Again, I'm not a diehard Penn State fan. I grew up liking them, so by proxy of being raised in Pennsylvania, I was a Penn State fan. But obviously, the scandal and all that kind of lost that. Plus, I moved to the South for 8 years, and so. I love the SEC. But yeah, seeing Penn State beat Oregon, I think would be pretty special. To it, we could have Boise State and Penn State the number 1 seed, possibly SMU if they pull it out tonight. So like, I'm all for some chaos is what I want for Christmas. How about you? What would you be sitting on Santa Claus's lap and asking for on this conference championship weekend? Oh, SMU touchdown. Kevin Jennings.
Nice.
Babe.
Wow. Quarterback Kevin Jennings was rushing.
Spicy. Yeah. 24 yards. This game could get very, very spicy with the points. This is not going to be defense.
No.
Just
I might
power.
switch over to that game. Currently, we're reviewing whether Oregon just got a 4th and 1 play. So I think this is going to – oh, they did. They gave it to them. So it's 1st and 10, Oregon on the 24-yard line. And they're driving again on Penn State. So to answer your question, all I want for Christmas, I'm a Tennessee fan. And just to let everyone know, our little banner in X is the Penn State field and potentially some of the stadium. So when I comment on things, people automatically, they'll go to our profile and think that I am a Penn State fan and say, LOL. I actually had a comment today, LOL Penn State. So I am not a Penn State fan. I'm pulling for them in this game. But I'm a Tennessee guy. So I'm hoping that Tennessee, I truly would, if I had would get anything for Christmas, it would be that Tennessee would not be facing Ohio State in the first round. I want Tennessee to have a home game. And then I'm almost willing to have them play almost anyone else. I feel like Ohio State is going to come into the first round of the playoffs angry. And so I don't really want to face them as a Tennessee fan. So that's what I'd like. And it might happen because Georgia, I would say Georgia they're on to their second string quarterback, even though he did pretty good. Gunnar Stockton, shout out to you. He did pretty well. It's possible that things shuffle around with the playoff committee, but if I'm sitting on Santa's lap, that's it.
We are well in the weeds right now, but you know what I want? You could do a sidebar of you could ask him as well. We need a night game for that Tennessee, and we need the checkerboard. I saw a poll this week where it's like, do you want the white out, orange out, or a checkerboard in Neyland Stadium? I think it's a night game, checkerboard, get the classic unis. I think that's the move. What's your vote on that?
My second, I would agree 100%. I think the second thing that I would want, also Oregon just scored again. It's going to be 14-3. The second thing I would want is for you to get better internet from Santa. So
thanks. All right. So let's we've been getting after it on the Heisman conversation, probably too much. We're trying to stay focused on fantasy football, but we just follow our nose sometimes. And sometimes that's into a hornet's nest with some angry Colorado fans. And so I think we're both on Team Genty for the Heisman. So yeah, we're going to plead our case. Let's recap that game real quick, and then we can go into our why Genty should win the Heisman conversation. So I actually thought Maddox Madsen for Boise State made some big time throws last night. And so I think people are sleeping on this Boise State team because of the lack of top 25 wins. They play power football, they run the ball, but Madsen being able to make key clutch throws on third down. Not a lot of yardage because he didn't need to, but 18 for 27, 158 and a touchdown. Genty, 209 yards and a touchdown. He just made really good throws on like key moments. And so, yeah, I think that's pretty much all we have on this game. I just butchered that. Hajj Malik Williams. There we go. He's flashed this year as someone who maybe transfer, maybe might follow. What's that guy's name? Matthew Slater.
Matthew Sluka.
He might follow Sluka right into that transfer portal to a bigger school, but I don't think he his first couple games, he was lighting it up, and then as of lately, and obviously in the biggest moment, not a great game for them all around. But yeah, the main recap is Genty did his thing on the main stage. So why don't you take us away on why have we been going after people on the internet on because I asked somebody the other day, I was like, give me your one sentence. Give me the biggest reason why you think Travis Hunter should win the Heisman.
Mhm.
What is your biggest reason for why Genty should win the Heisman?
So I think that my opinion does not fly super well with like this generation a little bit because I look at like I perceive someone's character and that matters to me. So like every time, I mean, just off the field, every time they're interviewing, Travis Hunter is talking about being one of one, like just the whole Colorado flashiness. I get it. Like you are a stud. But Gene T, and maybe I don't know if this is just a front or what, but like he's constantly giving credit to his O line because he can't be successful without his O line, even though he is an absolute stud. So I really like that approach to the game where it's about team rather than I. And something that I posted earlier on X is that Gene T's play immediately impacted or directly impacted their team, and they're now in the playoff. And I don't think anyone would have guessed that. Colorado, yes, they play in a slightly more difficult, a more difficult conference, sure. But like for someone who's on the field the entire time, and you have a first round draft pick at quarterback, I think if you were, I mean, if you're going to be the Heisman, I want to see you in something besides the Cheez-It Bowl. And I know it looks like they're going to be in the Alamo Bowl, which is not a slouch of a bowl. That's great. But Gene T, I don't think there's anyone else on that team teams were focusing on Gene T, which allowed Madsen to have success, which allowed, that receiving core at Boise State to have success. So I think the biggest impact that was made on a team was by Ashton Jeanty this year, regardless of what conference. I know the Mountain West is not the Big 12, but they are still playing. And Travis Hunter watched those games today in a similar fashion as you and I did. So that's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I do think, and rightfully so, I think people might come after you on the character thing, but I think everything you've heard on Travis Hunter is incredibly high character guy. I'm guessing there's a little bit of projection. I heard something from Shedeur Sanders in the quarterback award that he won is some people hate me because of Deion, because of my dad. And I think Travis gets a little bit of that. I think the big NIL money that him and Shedeur are getting, also a little bit of that. But I think actually his football character, his character as a person, 4.0 student, the work ethic to play both sides. I think he's an amazing talent. I think he's going to be a great NFL pro, but I don't think he's the Heisman. I think it's Genty. My biggest reason is he's been the best player on his team, breaking all kinds of records, and he has contributed to team success. Now, one thought I had is last year the only smudge on Jaden Daniels was they had 3 losses. They weren't in the playoffs. They weren't were those empty calorie stats. And so it's not an award that is given because your team succeeds, but excellent play and your team is succeeding, I think is a big deal. We've talked about it a lot, but you're up 45-0, you're still throwing the ball to your star wide receiver. I don't think that's the move. And so give me all the stats. I get it. He's playing both ways. I love what the Oregon Ducks said about it's not a snap percentage award. What he's doing is unique, but I think it goes to the best player. And my biggest reason not for Hunter is I don't think he's the best statistically. I think he gets grouped as the best because he plays both ways. But there's receivers who have had better seasons than him. There's cornerbacks who have had better seasons than him. And so giving him an award that is, hey, you are the best player just because he plays both ways, I don't think it's the move. However, Vegas says he's going to get it. And I mean, Vegas is building those towers somehow. So I think the award is going to Hunter, no matter how loud we and others get. I think it's going to go to Travis Hunter. Bryant Wesco, 43-yard touchdown. That's his second big one of the year. He's a freshman, right?
Yeah.
So he's on your team in Campus Canton, and so yeah, big things ahead. I don't know what quarterback they have in the pipeline for Clemson, but yeah, I would say some big things are ahead for that young man. All right. Any other thoughts on Heisman? Any other thoughts on Heisman before we go to other game recaps?
No, I think we've covered it. I mean, I know that I get kind of passionate about it, and my opinions are sometimes based on what I conjure up on my own. And I don't know, you seem a little bit more level-headed, and I get a little more passionate about it, and I appreciate your perspective. And there's no doubt that Travis Hunter is an absolute stud and will be for a long time. So doesn't change my opinion, but there's no doubt about that. So we can move on.
All right, so we're going to recap, just the two big games that have already finished for today. And so let's start with this Arizona versus Iowa State game. I like the Scataboo. He's got like the Scatabus, the Scatatrain. This is honestly the first game I've watched of his all year, and so I've seen the name. I've been following Arizona State, but I haven't actually watched them in any game, and so it was impressive to watch. I mean, only 16 carries and 170 yards. 2 touchdowns. Levitt looked good. 3 touchdowns in the air, 33 and a touchdown on the ground. This offense was humming without their best wide receiver, Jordan Tyson. And so, yeah, just an impressive game for them. The Iowa State wide receivers showed up. Higgins, 7 for 115. Noel, 5 for 64 and a touchdown. Other than that, I mean, this is just a beatdown, though. So Iowa turnovers was an issue. What are your thoughts on this game? Any other, Scatabo's going to the NFL next year, right? He's like a junior or senior? Like he's probably going to go.
I think he's going to go. I to be honest, I don't know whether he's a junior or a senior, but he's just a heck of a lot of fun to watch. I was watching that game, and I think that he is that Gene T-like running back where he's just a bruiser, and you better gang tackle this guy because he's going to run. He's got this balance and strength to just
way bigger.
He's bigger than Gene T.
Oh yeah. He
honestly looked at their
He reminds me of like a white Jerome Bettis, like just big, big refrigerator type guy running down. And then they were talking on the broadcast how he like lost some weight and picked up some speed and that, that kind of thing. But he is running people over. And I think I see Jerome Bettis when I was watching him run. I mean, Jerome Bettis was a little more rotund. But yeah, just embracing contact, saying I want that contact. So it would be, I don't think a team in the NFL will be able to draft both of them, but it would be awesome to get a little Thunder Lightning, Gibbs, Montgomery with those two in the same backfield. Again, I don't think that happens, but that would be very interesting. But yeah, he finished as the number 1 running back on the season and the number 2 overall player in fantasy football in our league. And so great season for him. He is a senior. He's going to the pros. So yeah, why don't you take, we touched on a little bit, but yeah, why don't you dive into Georgia versus Texas?
Okay. Yeah, I'll dive into that. I do want to shout out to ASU, Arizona State, a phenomenal season. Kenny Dillingham. I mean, I think they did not have a good season last year, and the season prior to that, I think, was really bad as well. And they had some sanctions and things that they were dealing with as a team with the NCAA. And Kenny Dillingham has just really taken that program to the next level. So if he is still with Arizona State, like if they're able to lock him in I think Arizona State is a perennial problem for the Big 12. That is, if he stays. I don't know what will happen because he's done really well. Texas, Georgia. Yeah, we watched that game. The first half was pretty lackluster. Let's see here. Quinn Ewers had 358 yards for 1 touchdown, but he had 2 interceptions. The offense was not humming on either side really in the first half, and it was slightly disappointing. The SEC was not doing itself any favors in the first half. Carson Beck on the very last play of the first half ended up injuring something in his arm. He was throwing the ball on a Hail Mary and ended up getting caught back there, and something happened. And so he did not start the second half, but Gunnar Stockton came in, finished the day with 71 yards, no touchdowns, but an interception. He did, though, he was able to put together a touchdown scoring drive in the third quarter, which Carson Beck was unable to do. And so I think the future is bright in Georgia, but no one is surprised by that. Trevor Etienne is a big story as well for Georgia running back. He was able to come back, and he actually got a lion's share of the carries. He had been dealing with some rib pain or a rib injury. He had a flak jacket on and was able to go. He went 16 for 94 and 2. Arian Smith did finish the day for Georgia as the top wide receiver, but he could have had substantially more yards. He had a few drops. X was going crazy with the drops. Get rid of this guy. How did he get a D1 scholarship? All of the things. So on the Texas side of the ball,
that fake punt for Arian Smith. Did you see that?
Yep. That was probably that was I think that was the catalyst moment when that succeeded. That's kind of sealed it for Georgia.
I love the snap to the big man though. That was my favorite part. Punt protectors there, big old lineman. He gets the ball, pass. That was sweet. Turnover SMU. 21-7. All right, go ahead. I think you were going to jump onto the Texas.
No, you're okay. Yeah, that was the moment for that big man, and good for him. It's 14-10 Penn State. Penn State did drive and get themselves a touchdown. So we have a little bit more of a contest here. Trey Wisner, 19 for 51, running back for Texas. He's had bigger games, obviously. Against that Georgia front, that's quite a difficult task. He did find some room in the second half. The big story, though, is Matthew Golden. He was 8 for 162. He did not have any touchdowns, but he was the go-to target. DeAndre Moore as well, 9 for 114 and 1. But I want to do a shout out for Silas Bolden. Arian Smith had a drop. I think that Isaiah Bond, he was pretty quiet in this game as well. Isaiah Bond had a ball thrown to him, and he had some alligator arms because he felt the pressure coming, and he was going to get knocked down pretty hard. But Silas Bolden caught a ball knowing that he was going to get leveled and held on to it. And he's a small guy. So I just wanted to toss that out. Great job catching the ball, securing it, and taking that hit. So Georgia is the SEC conference champ. And I think Texas was expected to win that game. So congratulations, Georgia. Texas is obviously still going to the playoff. We'll see what happens there. So penalties killed them, though. It was 100% penalties in the first half. 2 drives were stalled by penalties, and they ended up kicking 2 field goals. And then Bert Auburn also missed. I think he missed a total of 2 or 3 field goals as well. So just self-inflicted ones. But Yep. Your thoughts? Anything on that?
Well, I saw a funny because was Silas Bolden the one who was really hyped preseason? Does that sound right?
Yeah, he was a transfer from Oregon State, and I think people were hyping him pretty good.
Yeah. Anyway, I saw somebody post the preseason beat writers got they misspelled the last name because Golden has been really good as of lately instead of Bolden, and so I thought that was a funny thing. So, all right, so let's let's announce we do have one lucky winner. We got those of you listening or watching. Oh yeah. Yeah, like the post. We want some more people. We're not gonna start this league up until we'll probably do drafts, sometime April to May. So we have time to find some folks to play fantasy football with us. But again, when we post invites, this time was real simple, just like the post. We do have one guy. We got Danny, at Danny Dan OU. You are officially invited / a part of our listener league, so we have a total of 5 of us. We're hoping to it's going to be a big league, up to 18 teams. We might cut that shorter, depending on how it shakes out here. But yeah, we have lots of room. So again, if you see us post on the listener league, like or comment, we try and keep it a very, very low bar to jump over. But we would love for more of you to jump in and play fantasy football with you guys. Again, we think it's a fun way to grow podcasts, also community, and do a league specifically around the show. So we'll be campus to Canton. Again, at Danny Dan OU. Welcome to our listener league for 2025. So yeah, any other thoughts you have on that?
No, I mean, I think we will not be. I mean, we haven't talked about this fully, but I don't want to shrink this league from 18. I think that between now and the beginning of the season, we will be able to find some people because I don't know. College football is pretty great, and
not that we're supposed to argue on the podcast or on live, but I could probably vote. Have you ever been in an 18-team league? That's massive. I've even never seen a league like you see. Like, I mean, I've seen them but even like 16-team leagues. It's like, and we're planning to do this like smaller teams, smaller rosters. Mm-hmm. Our current Campus Canton roster is 42 players. Again, we haven't finalized any of this, but the thought is to have smaller rosters to not just be able to hoard all of the good players. So that way waivers and the college side should play a little more like an NFL league where each week there's guys you could pick up who can contribute to your team to really keep us engaged throughout the year. I think will really make it a fun style league and a similar gameplay to what we're all used to in playing NFL type leagues. So yeah, I think you have a question here on Beck or the 12-team playoff. That'll be wrapping up. Again, are you going to stay on live or we're going to wrap it up here in the next couple minutes? What are your thoughts?
I think we're going to wrap it up because we're not necessarily about length as much as we are about consistency. So I think that I will not. I see where your mind went there. For all. Okay. Anyway.
Internet. It's just go ahead.
We are not about length at the TSP podcast. If that tells you anything about the two hosts here.
Oh my God.
Okay. Sorry. So yes, I'm going to ask a question and I'm open to, I would love to hear your opinion. I have an opinion, but as the level-headed one, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. So in light of what happened last year, FSU, Florida State, went undefeated. But because Jordan Travis broke his leg in one of the last games, the playoff committee thought it would be okay to leave them out because they were not the same team. And context or preface this question, I thought they were right. I truly I don't think Rodemaker, I think he's the one that came in to replace Jordan Travis. That's not the same team without Jordan Travis. He was a big piece of that. So I am on that side of things. But now we have a 12-team playoff. Carson Beck was seen with an ice pack on his elbow or forearm today after the first half. Does that injury to Beck change where the committee ends up ranking Georgia? If so, why? If not, why?
No, I mean, they're the SEC champions, so they're getting a first-round bye. And they were ranked, I think they were 5th, and they beat the number 2 team in the country. So, people are going to compare But I think, well, first of all, I think Florida State should have gotten in last year. I do think they weren't the same team, but was it TCU or somebody took a beat down in the first round of the playoffs. I don't have that exact in front of me, but I think
The
that
first
as a
round,
team,
or just in the championship game,
well, no,
TCU got
in
absolutely
the first,
destroyed
no, the
because
championship
there wasn't a
was
round.
no, it was still around. There were still 4 teams, so it was Texas, Michigan in the championship. I'm pretty sure Michigan routed.
No, I think it
Yeah,
was. Okay, maybe so. I'm sorry, everybody. We are live
interrupt.
streaming.
Now I'm gonna go find
Bring
it.
it up. Bring it up.
College football playoffs.
That doesn't sound right to me, but I believe you. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Okay, so it was Michigan, Washington, Texas, Alabama were the 4 teams. So nobody nobody got.
though. The year before was TCU. Was the year before.
Okay,
because they got
anyway,
blown out.
I think that Florida State had earned a shot last year and had a good enough team. I don't think it should be withheld, because if they had their starting quarterback, they go in. And so that's the only disqualifier. I just think that's I don't agree with that. Like the rest of the team earned it. Give them a shot. However, this year, yeah, I don't think, again, same thing. I think Georgia's a good football team. So to penalize them because their quarterback got hurt, like, figure it out. Trevor Etienne is still a great player. Frazier's still a great player. The defense is loaded with NFL prospects. So what are we talking about here? I mean, Georgia would steamroll probably 6 to 7 teams in the 12-team bracket. Steamroll. And so, yeah, like, I love Arizona State. It's a good story, but I don't think Scatterbo is running for 170 yards against his defense. And so it's just, yeah, I don't think they get penalized. How about you? What are your thoughts on that?
Same thing. I think that it would be more of a discussion if it was still just 4 teams. But regardless, and this is going to be another unpopular opinion, but I'm just going to say it because this is my opinion. Regardless of like what happens on the field, that team, Georgia, Alabama, for those of you who are like, oh my goodness, Alabama shouldn't be there. They lost 3 games. They are loaded with 5 stars. And so, sure, like, if they've lost 3 games, they lost to Alabama, lost to Vandy, Georgia lost to some teams they shouldn't have lost to, sure, and went to 8 overtimes or whatever with Georgia Tech. But that doesn't change the fact that they're loaded with NFL talent. And so if you're trying to if they show up and both of those teams play to their to their level that they're able to play at, that's going to be the best possible competition and the best possible game. And so I don't necessarily, I want to give smaller teams a chance to play, but like, I don't know that I'm sitting here watching for 4 hours of Boise State versus Alabama, or, Arizona State versus Georgia. So I agree. I don't think that it's going to change anything, because I do think that Georgia and Gunnar Stockton was not too bad. I mean, his first drive, they got a touchdown, and then he kind of, leveled off after that. But that's a long answer, but I do not think it changes anything.
Yeah. Fun fact that we'll wrap up with here on Gunnar Stockton. So in our league, I actually put him on the trade block, start of the second half, and dealt him before the end of the game, because that's what I did. I did post it on a poll on X, and just to make sure I wasn't crazy, but I got Terry McLaurin for my Win Now NFL team, and I'm pretty hyped about it. So Gunnar Stockton might go on to win the Heisman next year, and I eat crow, but for right now, I'm pretty thrilled about it. So anyway, it's a shorter podcast tonight, live stream. We are chatting about maybe doing a little playoff bracket extra bonus episode. And so we're excited to see the 12-team bracket tomorrow and see who's in. And one thing is for sure, somebody's going to be mad at the committee for something. And so we will jump on that train and sure to stir the pot on X. So again, follow us on X as Sideline FF Pod. at TSP Kevin, that's me. At TSP Booker, that's Booker. Again, at Danny Dan OU. Welcome to the Listener League. And until next time, goodbye.